Hello, my name is Gil Panalosa, and this is Cities for Everyone, the webinar, where every other Tuesday I invite fascinating people to share their knowledge and their experience so that all of us can become better, passionate advocates. Advocates on what? On whatever you want, as long as it helps us move towards more equitable, more sustainable, and more fun cities. Originally, I'm from Bogota, Colombia, but now I've been living in Toronto, Canada for the last 26 years. And 20 years ago, I created 880 Cities, a nonprofit organization based here in Toronto. I've been very fortunate to have worked in over 350 cities, and this webinar in many ways is about giving back. It's always free and hopefully always interesting. Today, we got a great topic and a great guest. It's about rethinking smart cities, leaving no one behind. What is a smart city? Are smart cities for the elite or are they for everyone? Can smart cities really improve equity and sustainability? Well, I invited a wonderful person, Cristina Garrido, who has been leading this topic and has been sharing it all around the world. And she is the CEO of Anteverti and also the Deputy Curator of Smart Cities based in Barcelona. Cristina, thank you very much for having accepted the invitation. We are so eager to learn what smart cities are and what they are not. Tell us about yourself and about smart cities.
Well, thank you, Gil, for having me here, having invited me, and it's a real honor. And I'm very impressed with how many people are listening and from everywhere around the world. So, yeah, I'm here to share our experience. Let me share my presentation, which is open here. As you know, well, smart cities has been a buzzword for the last 10 to 20 years, more or less. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So our company is Anteverti, which if you know Latin, some people may speak Italian. It comes from Latin and it means to foresee, to predict, and to see in advance. And we're a consulting company that works with city governments mostly, but also regional governments and national governments to help them become better, and more sustainable. And we use innovation and creativity to do that and to unlock new opportunities. Our company was founded by Pilar Conesa, who Gil, very well, in 2011. But ever since, we have created a very multidisciplinary team because we believe innovation in cities is what needs to happen, basically. Very quickly, so you have an idea, we do innovation projects. We help cities, but we also help the Barca Stadium to, think how to become more sustainable and efficient. We're in European projects of energy efficiency. We help do smart city roadmaps. For example, this one of the city of Belgrade with the World Bank. We're working on the concept of digital twin with the city of Barcelona. We helped creating an eco city in Zenata in Morocco from the scratch. We also helped Argentina to do their smart city plan, R&D and I plan for small and medium smart cities around the country. We work a lot with the Barcelona City Council. If there's any of the listeners who are from Barcelona, they may know that they're working on how to attract blue economy into the ports and all the coasts of the city. We also work with Mauritius and also transforming the 22 at neighborhood, attracting creative industries. And we're also well known because we're the curators of the Smart City Expo Congress, which is a very big event that started in Barcelona in 2011. It has become very big, and we've had Gil as a keynote speaker, and he's amazing. So, that's why I'm very honored to be here, invited by him. We're in Barcelona. We work globally, and we are vocational. We are on a mission to help cities become better in all the ways that we can. So, Gil asked this question to you when we started. Many of you answered like, a city that is inclusive for everyone. Some others said like a trigger for conspiracy theorists. Like, that was a very good answer. But we all know, like, when we imagine smart cities, what comes to our head, like it has been a buzzword for the last years. And, it has got a little bit of a bad reputation, probably because of how technology, has been used also in this revolution that we've had. But the first thing that we like to do always is to ask Google Images. So what is a smart city? And this is what we get, basically. So probably if you insert smart city and you look for Google Images, we have these images of a very big metropolis with like very tall buildings, with these lights, which is interconnected and where technology is kind of overseeing everything, right? Like all these zeros and ones all around the city. Where there's drones and, solar panels, like, energy efficiency is also related, but mostly governed by technology, right? So if we do a more of a contemporary exercise and we ask ChatGPT to generate like an AI image of what a smart city may be, this is what we get, which is like a step forward, I would say. We have trees in the city, which is very good. We have electric vehicles, we have public transport, which I suppose there is this bus. It's a public transport. We have clean energy right here. But there is, in all these images, you may be thinking like there is one thing that is missing, right? So, I wish I could do this interactively, but probably you're all agreeing that what's missing is people, which is the most important part of cities, right? So all this imaginary of smart cities has been created and built on a dream of technology without people. So let's go back a little bit, like when it started, the term smart city, it's usually credited to IBM and to the private sector. Also, Oracle has been credited quite a lot for it in the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s. And it was very much based on technology, right? Like in all this revolution of technology that we've been going through in the last 10 to 20 years, cities started thinking, how can we also benefit from this, right? Because there is an obvious application of all this technology for cities to become better, right? How can we use data? How can we use this technology? How can we profit from this? So, we have the first examples of what the smart city, wanted to be, like the case of Barcelona. I remember in 2014, where the city council did a test in an area of the city called Las Corts for a smart parking. So what they did is, use sensors, and they sensorized parking slots, actually 500 parking slots on the city's surface. And the benefit of all this was for drivers to, for them to take less time in finding a parking slot to leave the car. So, this is actually like the first test that we find of the use of technology in cities. And of course, it's a test, but it was lacking a wider view and a wider understanding of, what is technology for in cities. Then we have a second period where more than technology as a purpose, it was efficiency as a purpose, right? So cities would start using technology to find efficiency, to cut costs, to have less carbon emissions, and to be more efficient in the management of the city. So we have cases like Nitra sensorized waste collection, which is actually the first case of sensorized waste collection known in the world at a larger scale. Like there were tests done in the UK previously in the 90s, but this is the first well-known case where it really worked. So they did ultrasonic field level sensors in the underground bins across all the city of Nitra. And yeah, this had as I was saying, this came from previous trials in the UK, but this is the first case where really worked. We also have the case of Singapore, where they developed, like under this efficiency idea, use technology for efficiency, their intelligent transport system, where there was like real-time decision-making, integration of big data, vehicle to infrastructure, public transit coordination. And this was very revolutionary to like monitorize, understand the traffic real time and make decisions with, but always with efficiency in the head. And of course, this efficiency idea was taking more people into account than the first idea of only just using technology as a purpose. But, we still had some room to improve. So lately, in the last years, we've seen how these smart city concepts have been trying to evolve to put people at the center and to use technology as a tool and not as a purpose in itself, right? So we have many different cases of this, but I'm going to give a couple. The first one is these Starship robots, for example. This is a private company, but it started in Tallinn and it has spread around Europe now. But it's a private company that is making like partnerships with public city governments to deliver groceries around the city, right? It's a robot for grocery delivery. And this, of course, needs a legal framework that cities need to create for these robots to be able to go around the city. So, there is a lot of public effort also to make this happen, but these are obviously having a real impact on many problems the city is facing. For example, how elder people cannot leave the house and go to the supermarket by themselves, of people with limited mobility, they cannot go out the house, they cannot get the groceries. So, this would be a very good way to go to the grocery store or go to the pharmacy and get, things for the everyday life. Another case is of how technology is being now addressed more to people is this case in Rwanda. You may know, it started in Kigali, but it's covering the whole country. As if you know Rwanda, it's a very mountainy country. So there are a lot of areas that are very remoted, and it's really difficult to access them because of the roads, etc. So there is this company also coming from the private sector, but also partnered with the Rwandan government. And they're deploying these drones that are delivering medical supplies to the whole country in a very short time. So they're delivering, for example, vaccines or blood or essential medicines, right? So they're using these drones and they partnered with the government, and the government had to create the legal framework for these drones to be able to fly around and do their job. So, this is an example of how nowadays technology is more and more being used, or it can be used with another purpose, right? And people in the center. So we obviously Smart City came from a very technological approach. And, it's transitioned through time, and we've realized that it doesn't make any sense to use technology if it's not used to make people's lives better in cities. So nowadays, it is used more as a tool, technology, although it's not the only tool that we have. These smart city projects are more inclusive, or are thought in a more inclusive way. They are thought with more of a human-centered design, and they're also thought with the word sustainability as a standard. So I wanted to show you some examples of what we think a smart city could be nowadays. Some of the cases you will see that use technology, but some other cases will use very low tech or even no tech. And this is our mottos, smart city can be a high-tech city, but it can be low tech, but also no tech. Any city has room of improvement to be smarter, and we all can help to do that. So this is an example of the bus stops in Singapore, the smart bus stops, And they're 100% citizen-centered. You can see like the aim is to make the waiting experience pleasant. So they created like libraries with the benches. There is a swing, like there is like different areas like screens, etc. And people can just spend a nice time while they're waiting for the public transport. And especially if you have kids, if like any one of the audience has kids, I do have two young kids, and this would save me a lot if we had this in Barcelona. Like this swing would be perfect for my kids to wait and for me to be a bit more relaxed while we're waiting. So another case would be, this one is very interesting. In Devon, in the UK, they used in a leisure center, they used, well, actually, a private company donated a small data center, and it has the size of a washing machine. And actually, the computers inside the data center are covered in oil that captures the heat, and they use this heat to warm up the water of the public swimming pool that is in the same center. So this is another example of how technology can be used with a public purpose, right? And to make the quality of life of people better in cities. This is a very interesting case too, as for mobility. It's a bus, and it was a demo that the city of Incheon in South Korea started, and it's a bus on demand. That means that it's a bus that has no fixed route, but it's a bus that collects the data from people who need to go from one point to another of the city, and then the route changes every day according to the demand. So this is another way of using technology in favor of people's needs, right? Of citizen needs. Another case, for example, in terms of urban planning, we have this case of Bentham public space and stormwater management in Rotterdam, which is a very cool public space with a square, and it has like some football pitch, like, some like good public space for people to use, for young people to play sports, for like all sorts of people, like there is like places to sit down. But then whenever there is a storm, the space collects water and it creates this other landscape. And apart from like managing the water, they use this water afterwards for city purposes. So this is a very good example of a smart urban planning design. We have the case of Vauban Eco District in Freiburg in Germany, which, as you may know, is one of the like innovation capitals of Europe. This is a whole neighborhood that was planned like with participatory processes, decision making, like sustainable solutions. Like you can see, there is like all these solar panels on the rooftop, so like it's self-sustainable, etc. Like this to us would be a very good case of smart city. Amsterdam is another case that actually I love this project. Amsterdam decided to have a vision for 2035 of creating a lot of sports parks around the city. So they already have started and to create like, all these like football pitches or like basketball pitches or multifunctional pitches, like to play sports, but also like leisure spaces. Like if you want to just run around or for kids to play with the ball or, just leisure spaces where you can play sports or just like run or, do things that are not as sporty, but that need movement, right? So you can enjoy public spaces. And these are also designed to collect the water, to soak the water, and use the water for environmental purposes. For example, when the temperature goes very high with the heat waves that we're having due to climate change now. So the water that these football pitches capture is used to lower down the temperature, for example, in the city in those moments, or also to water the green areas in the city, etc., etc. So this is a very good case of how to use, technologies with human purpose. If you all know I'm from Barcelona, so I love this case study, which is the super blocks. I mean, this has become very popular, and actually it's very similar to the case that Gil was mentioning about what Janet Sadikan did in Times Square. Barcelona is made of grids, which is like it's full of cars. So, the city council at some point decided to pedestrianize some of these crossings and make them for people. So, every once in a while we have a crossing that is pacified, and we have like a public space with benches for people, with green spaces for children to play, for families to sit down and enjoy a snack, or just to leave public space, which otherwise is impossible because Barcelona is very much full of cars. A case that we like a lot, and Gil, you probably know it better, but we've been following up since it started, and we think it's a great case. It's like the whole urban transformation of Medellin, which went from being one of the most dangerous cities in the world, it had that fame, to being an example of urban innovation. The city created different actions around the city to improve the quality of life of citizens and to fix problems. Like, for example, they put this cable car to connect the center of the city with the shanty towns that were in the mountains. They built a public library in one of the most deprived areas called Biblioteca España. They did participatory budgeting also for, people from these deprived areas to be more in charge of what was going on in their neighborhood. So, the city of Medellin, of course, all cities still have their problems, but the improvement has been amazing. And we think it's a very good case study. Freetown, for example, has another successful case study for us, which was led by the mayoress, and they called it Freetown Tree Town. They were lacking a lot of trees, and also it happened that the informal settlements were getting floods when it rained. So the mayoress decided to plant trees all over the town, and they created this project called Freetown Tree Town, which is now being implemented. And we think just by the fact of planting trees, you can really fix a lot of problems, right? In the city, you don't need sensors sometimes to do so. So this is a good example that we wanted to share. So, in conclusion, very quickly, I have 4 points that I would like to conclude today. So smart cities started focusing on technology, as we've seen, as a purpose, but it has evolved, becoming a much wider concept nowadays. We say that smart cities started by the idea that the city can learn and adapt, through technology, but a city can also learn and adapt through other methodologies. So, any city that has room for improvement, no matter the size, no matter the budget, and, any city can be a smart city, in our view. Secondly, technology is a powerful tool, and cities should use it to become more efficient and sustainable. And it should always be used as a tool to create better life for people. So it should be people-centered and people-centered design, and use it also inclusively and leaving no one behind. We know a lot about that now because we're facing a lot of problems on how technology is also creating a digital gap with different ages and different social and economic fabrics of the city. Thirdly, technology is not the solution to everything. There are many other methodologies to create smart cities, and cities should pick the best methodology for each case, right? Like, we don't always need sensorized to fix a problem, as we've seen in the case of Freetown, for example, which, by only planting trees, or in the case of the super blocks, by painting the crossings and pedestrianizing areas, you can create a smarter city already. And the last one, any city can be smarter no matter the size, the budget, or the technological maturity. And just to conclude, we have all this knowledge because, through all these years of understanding what a smart city is and through curating the Smart City Expo Congress, we have created our own model, which is a smart city like methodology, like for a roadmap that puts people in the center. You can see our logotype in the middle, which is, we like to think it's a person here. So, always people, quality of life, and sustainability are at the center. And all the verticals of the city are around it. So, they should be worked on, vertical by vertical and focusing on problems, but always thinking of people. And then innovation, government, and technology are tools that can help us to improve all these areas. And again, the message that, a smart city can be high tech, low tech, or even no tech at all. And that, it can be implemented in any size, whether it's a small city like we did in Tordera, for example, it's a very tiny city in Catalonia, or in Serbia, which is a bigger city, or in Puebla in Mexico, which is like, much more of a bigger city, or even in a country like Argentina. Finally, I would like to invite you all to visit our blog, CitiesToBe, where we collect experts and articles, interviews to people that we meet in our path of trying to make cities better for all. And if any of you has any ideas or would like to share some thoughts, please contact us because we would love to collaborate on the blog. Here you have some references and sources where we got some of the pictures and the information from. And that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Cristina. This is wonderful. I love it. And yeah, I think something that is great is to realize too many times also decision makers excuse bad decisions on technology. So they say, oh no, this is about smart cities. We want to be up to the most recent technology. No, the what has nothing to do with technology. Technology is a tool. It's a tool, but a smart city is really about creating cities that are sustainable, equitable, fun for people of all ages or abilities, where everyone can live healthier and happier. And so that's why I love the work that you do all around the world, Cristina, because it's really very, very inclusive. So now the last question I always ask people, please, do you have a call to action? You have people here from over 25 countries, hundreds of people from around the world. What would you call to action when we were talking about smart cities, and you started saying whether this was a gimmick or people made such bad use of the concept? So rethinking smart cities and leaving no one behind. What is your call to action to people?
So I have two, if I may, two calls to action. The first one is that I understand that all this rise of technology can be really scary to many people, and it creates new problems that we need to address and to solve with new policy frameworks, with new laws, etc., etc. But I would ask for people not to be stopped by that fear. We have an amazing, powerful tool, which is technology, and we can use it in favor of cities to become better places for everyone. So, please, of course, we need to create those legal frameworks with its ethical conditions, right, for technology to cohabit with us. But please think, how can technology also improve our quality of life? And, if we all help decision makers to push in that direction, I think it would be great. And the second call to action would be that, it really doesn't matter how many people does a city have, or what's the budget, or, what's the technology maturity. Any city can be smarter. Like every city has a room for improvement, whether it's with high technology or planting trees. So, please think, what's that gap in your city, no matter the size, no matter the budget, and, work in that direction.
Thank you, Cristina. You have provided so much information. I love it because technology is truly a tool. Before, it was so hard to for example, do an inventory of how many trees in a city. Now it's really simple. Or what kind of trees, or what are the specific trees that are missing, or which ones have a tree canopy. And I love your example of showing the drones in Africa in some places that to take medicine to. So 6 months of the year, when it's dry, cars can go and deliver the medicine or the blood, but the months of rain is impossible for any car. So the only way to do it is to send it through drones, and then they send back blood samples and so on. So it really is very, in that case, those people that are moving the medicines and the blood samples are not wealthy, is not the upper income, actually are very poor. So technology actually could really improve lives for the most vulnerable if the decision makers actually make smart decisions. Cristina, thank you. Amazing presentation. I love how you showed so many examples from so many places around the world, in big cities, in small ones, in emerging countries, in wealthy ones. And you show how smart cities, how technology can work for people rather than people having to adapt to technology, and how smart cities could really help us become more equitable, more sustainable, and more fun. Thank you. And I hope everybody will be with us every other week on Tuesdays. Thank you very much.